All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been creating a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. We're in the JavaScript portion, talking about JavaScript first steps. Before I go on to the troubleshooting, what I decided to do, good, bad, or indifferent, because I've been following this pretty much lockstep thus far. But what I decided to do was I'm going to come in here and I'm going to, this was the thing that we created in the last exercise. I'm going to grab the comment, just the comment, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paste that in here. All right. Whoops. And I'm going to have to change it to an HTML comment. Now I'm going to come in and from that document, I'm going to grab the beginning of this. Let's just say down to the script tag, okay? And I'm going to write my own, for lack of better words. So I'm going to put that in here, and it's going to be really simplistic in that I'm not going to have any CSS in it. All right. I'll write my own thing instead of check yes. I'm not going to have this H1. I'm not going to have any of this stuff in here. All right. And I will end the body here. And I will end my HTML here. So I don't know exactly how long this is going to be, but it's going to be a lot shorter than the current program. And it'll be much, it's not that it's watered down, but I'm not going to have everything that one had in it. Why? Because I think that what I'm about to show you is maybe, and I'm saying maybe, a little bit better way to explain this stuff to you. You may or may not agree with that. Either way, totally fine. All right, so let's say number guessing game, JPS, Jeffrey Paul Scott version. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to save it just right to the desktop. So File, Save As, let's put it right to the desktop here. And I'm going to call this GG for guessing game dash JPS.html. Okay, so there it is. Now, if I run it right now, it's not going to do a flaming thing. So where is it? GGJPS. There it is. Except it does have number guessing game JPS version. That's fine. All right. So let's come in and start writing some code. Again, I'm doing this ideally at least to make this a little bit more simplistic so you can start breaking it down and hopefully understand it a little better. All right, so instead of check yes, I'm going to call my own routine that's called start new game, which I'm about to write in just a second. So everything else that I put in here right now, everything is going to go between these script tags. All right. And I don't know, 50, 60 lines, whatever. It's going to be shorter than the other one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my constants. So I'm going to create my program constants. And I'm not doing it the way they did it in the text. I'm going to have 3 constants. I'm going to call them min guess, max guess, and let's call it num guesses allowed. Kind of a dumb name, but you get the idea in just a second. So min guess, the minimum number we're going to allow here is 1. For max guess, the maximum number we're going to allow here is 100. And for num guesses allowed, it's going to be 10. So we're going to have pretty much the same rules that we had before. All right. So next, I'm going to create my program variables. Now again, a variable is like a constant, except the constants cannot change while the program's running, whereas a variable can. So I'm going to have 2 of these. So let num guesses equal, and I'm just going to set that equal to 0, and let, this will be my random number. And I'm going to also set that equal to, for now, 0. So this will be the minimum allowable guess. This will be the maximum allowable guess. This will be the maximum number of guesses allowed. Hopefully that all makes sense. This will be the number, in fact, let's put the pound sign, number guesses in current game. This will be the generated random number. Now again, hopefully all that makes sense. All right, so we want to call this thing start new game, so let's just put that next. And I'm going to put a comment here, and it'll say function called when either A, program begins, or B, a new guessing game begins. Okay, so this will be my function, start new game. All right, so what do we want to do in here? Well, first let's let the user know that we're starting a new game. So I'm going to say alert. In fact, I'm going to put it all in caps. You are starting a new game. Ding, ding, ding. Now, the reason I put that in there like that is let's just make sure it's working. All right, so let's come back to here. You are starting a new game. Good. It's not doing anything else right now, but that's fine. That's a start. All right, so that's first thing. How about this? We'll put in here a comment even that says welcome message. And we'll change this to welcome. You are starting a new game. There you go. Welcome. There you go. All right. So what do we want to do? Since it's a new game, I want to set my number of guesses to 0. So num guesses, that's the one that's right here. I'm going to set that equal to 0. All right. Before I even do that, though, let's do one other thing. I'm going to create a Boolean game over variable. Boolean means it can only be true or false. All right. Well, the game's not over because it's just about to start. So I'm going to say let game over equal false. It's a new game, so game over would be false. All right. So what else do I want to do here? Well, how about, so it's a new game, so I set my number of guesses equal to 0, and now I want to generate the random number. And we said that random number is equal to math.random times 100 plus 1. So generate random number between 1 and 100. Now, putting that in there like that is just fine, but I've now got a constant for 100, so I can use this, and I've now got a constant for 1. So I can use this. Don't have to do that, all right? But hopefully at least it makes it a little clearer. All right. Now, I'm going to make this real simple. And what I mean is, as long as the game's not over, I'm going to call a new routine that's called play game. So while not game over, all right, and I want to call play the game, okay? And once the game is over, I'm just going to call this routine again. Start new game. I'm just going to call it all over again. So there's not a natural way to end this program. I'm just going to keep it in a loop where it runs forever. So what have I done so far? I've created 3 constants. I've created 2 global variables, which I'll be able to use throughout the program. All right. And then I've got my start. All right, my start new game, which is going to give them a welcome message, assume that the game is not over, reset my guesses, set my random number, and say as long as the game isn't over, call play the game. So what's next? Well, how about function play the game? All right. So first thing I want to do is have them guess. So I'm going to say let guess equal. Now I'm hoping that they enter a number and a whole number. So parse int, which means convert whatever they guessed into a number. Prompt. Now what I can say here, I'm going to put this on 2 lines so that you can read all of it. I can say, please guess a number between 1 and 100. And that works just fine. And I can even give it a default value. So I'm going to give it a default of 50. So I can do that. It'll work. But again, don't I already have the number 1 and the number 100? And yes, we do. So I'd like to put all that in here, but there's 2 ways I can do it. I can say between min guess and put it on another line, max guess. I can do that. That'll work just fine. But I'm breaking my string, breaking it here, then starting it again and breaking it again, and I need another plus sign. It's real easy to make a mistake doing it this way. All right. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to use what are called template literals. So please guess. I'm just going to use a number between, and I'm going to have the min guess and the max guess right in here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use what's called a template literal. So how do I use a template literal? Well, I put in here, oh boy, I'm sure I'm going to give it to you incorrectly. So let me just put it in here. JavaScript. I know what it is, but I'm not sure the order in which I have to put these in. So JavaScript template literal example. All right, that's what I want. Okay, that's all. So just the $sign. So please enter a number between $, then in curly braces, min guess and max guess. And again, we'll put in here a default of 50. Okay? So that should say, please enter a guess between 1 and 100. All right, that's what we want to do. And we're going to convert it into a number. So notice I've got 1 left paren there, 1 left paren there, but I only have 1 right paren. So I need another one right there. And this does a good job. It lets me know that one goes with this one, and that one goes with this one. All right. So I now have a guess. the guess is one of three things. Either it's a number that's between 1 and 100, which means it's a valid guess, or it's non-numeric. So I didn't put anything in, or I put in a word or whatever, or it's a guess that's not within range. So the next thing I'm going to do is check to see if guess is either A, non-numeric, and that's not a number, if you remember, or B, out of range, which means either it's less than 1 or it's greater than 100. Either of those is considered an error condition. Now, I might want to run out of room here, so I'll put this on again on multiple lines. While is N guess, so while it's non-numeric, or, I'm going to put this on a new line. The guess is less than our min guess, or our guess is greater than the max guess. So what are we doing here? There's two conditions. This says not numeric. That's checking that. This condition here is checking to see if we put in a guess that's less than 1 or a guess that's greater than 100. All right, so if either one of those are what we just did, we did it wrong. So we want to let them know that we did it wrong. So we're going to say alert. And I'm going to just say either non-numeric or out of range guess entered. Just let them know that. That's it. I could tell them to re-enter, or I could tell them all sorts of stuff here. But I'm going to do it here. Now, I'm not going to use the let again, but I'm just going to tell them, I'm going to ask them basically to put in another guess. Just like we did before. All right. And notice it's in a while loop, so I'm going to keep them in there as long as they put in a guess that's either non-numeric or a guess that's less than 1 or greater than 100. So they're stuck in there now. So if I get down to here, a guess between 1 and 100 was entered. So what's the first thing I want to do? Well, they just made a valid guess. So I'm going to add 1 to my number of guesses. So first, increment number of guesses counter. All right, so that's the first thing I want to do. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to check to see if the user has already made 10 guesses. Remember, we said 10 was our max. In fact, we set it up here to num guesses allowed. So, if so, give them a message as game is over. We don't even have to check to see if what the guess, if it's in range, out of range. It doesn't matter. So if num guesses is greater than, we just added 1 to it. So if this became our 11th guess, what do we want to do? We want to give them an alert. and we want to let them know maximum number of guesses reached, game over. And we'll let them know that game over thing is now equal to true. Their game is over. And we just want to return. There's nothing more to do here, in other words. All right. So if we get down to here, we'll say valid guess. Check to see if current guess is too low, too high, or correct. All right. Now, I'm going to check them in that order. I could check for it being correct first, but there's only one time when correct is going to be correct. And there's going to be 99 times when it's either too low or too high. So I'm going to say here, if the guess is, did we call it guess? Let's see. Yep, we just did call it guess. So if the guess is less than the random number, we know that it's too low. So we'll give them an alert, and we'll say, this guess was too low. Try again. All right. And we don't have to really do this, but I'm going to say game over is still false. The game's not over. Else, if the guess is greater than the random number, well, we want to do almost the same thing here. We just want to put in a little different message. So I'm going to just put that in there. The guess was too high. Try again. All right. Otherwise, they guessed correctly. So else, if guess equal the random number, well, then we know that they guessed correctly. So I'm going to say the game over is true. Their game is over. So in here, I'm going to say, congrats. You guessed random. How about this? You guessed number, and this will be, again, our, how do we do that? $, random number in guesses. So for instance, it'll say something like, you guessed the number 50 in 5 guesses. All right. And I may have missed something here, but I don't think I have. And I'm actually done. I'm just going to get rid of the congrats. And we'll leave it like this, so you can see everything. So that's in alert. Here we go. So that's it. So I cut it down. It's still 100 lines, but I put a lot of comments in there so you can see what's going on. So let's run it and see what happens. In fact, I think we've already got a run up here. Nope, there. Right there. So refresh. Welcome. You are starting a new game. Uh-oh. Well, it didn't like something. Good. Because the next section we do is debugging, so let's look on how to debug this. Now, I'm at 25 minutes, so I'm going to break this into a next lesson.